Bills. We've got the touch for movies on CBS.
Campaign 84 is underway. Dan Rather with a reminder to tune in CBS News coverage of the Iowa caucuses, Monday at 11:30, 10:30 Central and Mountain.
This is CBS.
For making travel dignified, comfortable, and affordable with your Eastern Airlines Senior Citizen Get Up and Go passports, which let people 65 and over fly on Eastern anywhere in the U.S. for only $1,199 for a year. It is with deep gratitude that I present you with these wings. They look very nice on you.
At Eastern, we earn our wings every day.
There's not much you can really learn about any car engine in just 30 seconds. But one car, the Mercury Topaz, has approached the concept of power somewhat differently. The very way fuel and air are ignited has been totally rethought. The result, smooth, responsive power. It's called high-swirl combustion technology, and it's just one of Topaz's many advancements. You can read about all of them in more detail in this free 20-page book, The 1984 Mercury Topaz, a more enlightened approach.
1, 2, clear for takeoff.
Allied knows which way the aerospace industry is going. And which way the automotive industry is going. And the healthcare industry. And the electronics industry. That's why we got into them. At Allied, we mean business.
Channel 2, WBBM TV, Chicago. Walter Jacobson, Don Craig, John Kaufman, and Johnny Morris with Chicago's #1 news. Channel 2, the 10 o'clock news.
Druze militiamen in Lebanon firing their rifles into the air, celebrating another major victory over the Lebanese army and eliminating the last buffer zone between the rebels and the U.S. Marines in Beirut. Good evening. The Marines are now surrounded by Syrian-backed rebel forces who want the U.S. out of Lebanon.
And the only way out right now is up and over the rebel lines by helicopter or through those lines to the sea. The Marine base at the Beirut airport was not involved in the latest heavy fighting, but the American forces are on very high alert. The Marines' position is made more precarious by the latest attack on the Lebanese army by the rebels. Shiite Muslim militiamen swept south from West Beirut and linked up earlier this week with the Druze fighters. In an 18-hour battle, the Druze pushed their way down from the mountains all the way to the sea. They took over a coastal town just 200 yards from the American base. The rebels have been celebrating their rout of the Lebanese army by firing off, as Don just said, thousands of rounds of ammunition. They reportedly are preparing for another major offensive, pushing further south to drive the Christian forces out of southern Lebanon.
Lebanese President Amin Gemayel is said to be ready to abandon his troop withdrawal agreement with Israel to appease those rebels. The Lebanese army is falling apart. Dispirited soldiers are crossing into Israeli-occupied territory in southern Lebanon. In the last week, hundreds of Lebanese soldiers reportedly have either deserted or given their weapons to the rebels. President Reagan is saying tonight that when the U.S. Marines are pulled out of Lebanon, they could remain on U.S. ships offshore for a year or more. The president says, and I quote, "As long as there is a chance for peace, we are going to stay."
And the crisis moved to Rome in Italy tonight, where a left-wing group is claiming responsibility for the assassination of an American general whose name was Lehman Hunt. He was ambushed from a passing car outside his home. He had just completed a tour as chief of the multinational peacekeeping force in the Sinai Desert. His self-proclaimed assassins say they will kill again unless the U.S. pulls its military out of the Middle East.
Here in Illinois tonight, police in Will County are going door to door in their search for a missing 3-year-old boy. His name is Michael DeForge. He lives in an unincorporated area of Will County, just outside the village of Crete. His mother says he ran out of the house about 10:30 this morning, chasing after his dog. When she went to check on them a few minutes later, she discovered that they were both gone. Police called in their dogs, helicopters, and more than 100 people. to begin a search in the area around the house. They found the dog about a mile away, but there is still no sign of the boy. A full-scale search is scheduled to resume at dawn tomorrow.
Moving to local politics tonight, Mayor Washington has announced his preference in the March 20th primary election, as we reported here exclusively on Channel 2 last week. That preference is Jesse Jackson. Our political editor, Mike Flannery, has details.
Both coming and going, the mayor had nothing to say to reporters, preferring that his paid political commercial speak for itself. Washington's only surprise announcement was that he will be leading a nationwide voter registration drive, apparently working with the Democratic National Committee. The rest of the 5-minute TV appearance went as expected.
I am not endorsing any presidential candidate at this time because the first presidential primary has yet to be held. But in 6 Chicago congressional districts, I am fielding a slate of uncommitted delegates under my banner as a favorite son who will go to the convention to work on the party platform. In Illinois, you have a double-barrel right to vote both for delegates and for a primary presidential preference. Tonight, I would like to share my preference with you. That candidate is Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Some of Jesse Jackson's most ardent supporters are offended by the mayor's failure to fully endorse Jackson. For his part, though, Harold Washington clearly believes that Jackson has no chance of becoming president, and he wants to reserve his formal endorsement for a Democrat who does have a shot at the White House. Mike Flannery, Channel 2 News.
Still ahead on the 10 o'clock news tonight, Gene Siskel looks into his crystal ball and predicts tomorrow's Oscar nominations. Plus, more of our special report on the fitness craze and how to do it right. And the story of Mr. Mom, an orangutan at the Lincoln Park Zoo that fooled the experts. Coming up later. A cave-in at a nuclear test site in Nevada has left 12 people injured tonight, one of them critically. It happened today at the Rainier Mesa site, less than 100 miles from Las Vegas. Officials say an underground nuclear test explosion caused a tunnel to cave in. All of those injured were inside trailers parked over the tunnel conducting tests. Federal officials say the blast was less than 20 kilotons, and they say no radiation was released into the atmosphere.
You may know that for the past few nights we have been talking about the fitness fad of the 1980s. It has more people exercising now than ever before, and more people getting hurt than ever before. Tonight, in Part 3 of her special report, Terry Anzer looks at some trends in that fitness industry, which is a pretty big business, with very few, if any, standards.
Exercise wasn't always thought of as glamorous. But now it's big business, and nearly everyone who claims to be an expert also has a product to sell.
Anybody else want an autograph? I have these little things here.
Initial sales indicate that the Debbie Reynolds exercise videotape could outsell even the popular Jane Fonda workout.
How would you respond to people who say, here's another movie star just cashing in on the fitness craze?
No, but I didn't. I don't have to cash in on anything. The reason that I did it was because I couldn't do the other programs. They're excellent programs for advanced students. I feel I'm qualified, first of all the years that I've done it. I am a dancer, I'm a gymnast, and I'm a physical therapy person.
But it's not only celebrities who are profiting from the fitness boom. The fact is that anyone can operate an exercise program or work in one. And some consumers have learned the hard way that what their instructors don't know can hurt them.
When you're 40 years old and you're trying to keep up with an 18-year-old, it doesn't work.
How do they get in business?
They get in business for about $100, a few flyers, a good record player, a good body, and a few leotards.
One place to find out where the aerobic fitness boom is going is the place where many people think it all began, Dr. Ken Cooper's Aerobics Center here in Dallas, Texas. Cooper was the Air Force doctor who was considered radical in 1968 when he published the first book on aerobics. Now his 28-acre complex is perhaps a scientist's dream of what exercise should be. Treadmill stress testing is required to screen participants for heart disease and other problems.
If you're struggling to get there, don't lift it so high. That's
Instructors have college degrees in physical education, and stretching to music is just a warm-up to the walking, running, or other truly aerobic activities Cooper says are needed to strengthen the heart, something he says is missing from most so-called aerobic dance programs.
I think it's deceiving the public because aerobics literally means in air, living in air or with oxygen, and refers to endurance type of exercises. And obviously many of these exercises that are being called aerobic are not aerobic. Am I jealous or envious of the fact that people have taken the name and abused it? No. But I want it to be as safe as humanly possible. I want it to be as effective as possible. Plus, I don't want it to go the route of the hula hoop.
And I'd like to get us out of the idea that you can only get physically fit if you wear a leotard and leg warmers.
With the help of his wife, Millie, Cooper is now proposing standards for the training of aerobics teachers.